Hello and welcome. You're tuned in to Embodied Astrology, and my name is Renee Sills. I'm a consulting astrologer and somatic educator, and I'm here to offer Virgo season ahead horoscopes for your sun, moon, and rising signs. Virgo season extends from August 22nd to September 22nd in 2024. Regardless of your sun, moon, or rising sign, you also have Virgo in your chart. In this season's readings, I'll be focusing on how the astrological influences of Virgo season resonate for your sign, and how you can tune in best with this season's influences and needs. These horoscopes are focused on you, and in order to deliver what I feel are the clearest messages, for the most part, I don't get overly detailed about astrological specifics. If you want more information on what transits, aspects, and retrogrades are doing this season, and if you're interested in my take on what this means for our larger world and current events, make sure to take a listen to my Virgo season ahead overview, where I break down this season's astrology in detail and offer interpretation and intuition for working with it on personal and collective levels. Over the course of Virgo season, I and the team here at Embodied Astrology have a number of offerings that resonate with Virgo's needs of practicality, healing, and service to the larger whole. Practically, astrology is a great tool for timing and strategy. And historically, it has been used by leaders in all spheres to take advantage of opportunity and work skillfully with challenge. As you're probably well aware, there are lots of challenges in our world right now that need skillful approaches in order to heal and tend the needs of the greater good. In service of these aims, Embodied Astrology is hosting a participatory astrological research group where we're exploring critical areas in need of activism and developing timing strategies for activists and organizers to tune in with the greatest efficacy and change between now and 2050. In Virgo season, our research group will be meeting twice, on September 12th and 14th, and we would love to have you there. On a personal level, bringing our best to the needs of the times is never always easy, and working through challenges is part of what builds our competency, maturity, creativity, and resilience. This year, our team member Sherry Taylor is diving deep into one of the most potent influences when it comes to these themes, and that's the planet Saturn. Over the course of 2024 and 25, as Saturn transits Pisces, Sherry is holding space at Embodied Astrology to help us fortify our discipline and devotion so that we can work in ways that are more authentic and aligned with our life purpose. Sherry's offerings work in cycles that include council sessions, where she invites guests to join her, along with release and rest sessions, where her focus turns inward towards the realms of breathwork and personal practice. In Virgo season, Sherry is working specifically with themes of vocation and purpose, and you can tune in with the recording of her council session with vocational astrologer Renee and integrate with her through the healing release session on September 1st. One of the most challenging experiences that many people are contending with right now is information overwhelm and uncertainty about what is real when it comes to media, information, and news. Current astrology reflects this powerfully in the transit of Neptune at the last degrees of the zodiac. In astrological symbolism, Neptune is associated with our imaginations and the power of our minds to produce feeling states that shape our perceptions of reality. Correspondingly, Neptune is also associated with created images, as we might encounter them through realms of visual media, especially photography and video. With digital manipulation and artificial intelligence becoming increasingly commonplace, it's important that we have discernment and awareness as we navigate the realms of shared information. If you're interested in exploring these themes through astrology, check out the Nebula Lab with Gabs 404. September 7th session will focus specifically on AI and its connections to imagery and visual culture. As social media and news increasingly become sites of social division and manipulation, it's essential that we build skills to contend with conflict. Astrology happens to be an amazing tool for navigating difference and conflict in creative ways that support us in seeing where and how we can work across distances towards mutual aims and efforts. As the social landscape becomes increasingly explosive and dynamic over the next months, I hope you'll consider joining us for our November series with Mars retrograde, led by Ramon Parrish, Constellations of Conflict. Ramon will use astrology to help us find healing in the realms of the internal, interpersonal, and institutional. Finally, this is a time where one of the biggest needs that many people are experiencing is trustworthy and supportive community. Since its inception, Embodied Astrology has always been about bringing people together through the language and practice of astrology. and we continue to offer nourishing and soulful communal spaces monthly and weekly. Once a month, you can join us with Janata Petrus for the Full Moon Artistic Alchemy Spaces, where she'll offer prompts and practices for working with the full moon's influences, the seasonal cycle, and your natal chart. These spaces are rich with support for sustaining through the ups and downs of life with creativity and joy. Join Janata on September 15th for the Pisces Full Moon Edition, which is sure to be an extra potent one, as that full moon is also the first lunation of this year's second season of eclipses. For weekly support, you can find me every Monday in Somatic Space, where we work with the astral influences of the week ahead through gentle and adaptive movement practices, guided meditation, breathwork, and visualization. These sessions are meant to set you up to meet the moment and cultivate mind, heart, body practices that help you align with what astrology is asking for now. Finally, for those of you ready to get offline and into dimensional space together, I hope you'll consider joining me October 24th through 27th for an on-land retreat at the Eco Dharma Center in Colorado's Rocky Mountains. Together with Ramon and Michelle Gabrieloff Parrish, we'll be exploring the intersections of astrology, embodiment, and environment. You can learn more about everything I just mentioned through the links in our show notes or at embodiedastrology.com. Last but not least, I hope that you find this work supportive, and if you do, that you will support us in turn. The best ways to do that are to subscribe, follow, like, and leave us comments, which helps our channels grow. Your one-time tips, recurring donations, and monthly memberships are so appreciated, and they sustain the production of this work. Thank you. Now, onto your horoscopes. Hello, Cancer. Welcome to Virgo season. This reading is for all of your Cancer placements, especially your sun, moon, and rising sign. So I'm going to offer this reading in 3 parts. I'm going to be focusing on the head, the heart, and the belly. Another way to think about that is what's practical, what's healing, and what is continuous or integrated with all life and in service to the greater whole. So let's start up top with the head and with the practicalities of Virgo season. So I'm feeling for you, Cancer, that there are definitely some practical needs that want attending and attention, especially when it comes to the relationship between your values and your communication. I think that a lot of you are working to hone and refine your capacities for communication, and that includes a whole lot of skills that you might be developing. But it feels that importantly right now, one of your skills has to do with really staying with yourself, not self-abandoning, but staying in your own center and staying with your own heart as you communicate with others. This is not always easy. So many of us have learned to self-abandon, and particularly Cancer as a water sign, as a very emotional sign that is super attuned with the environment and the needs of others, might have tendencies to kind of leave what's at the center as you, I'm going to say, like, engage your spidey sense to feel out into what's happening for other people as you communicate. I think that for some of you, sometimes this can result in confusing communication. And it may be that as you're speaking, you might be trying to address what you think somebody else is going through or feeling. But what your charts are asking for right now is that you really work to stay with the sensation and the intelligence of your heart and of your sense of center. So you can see that I'm actually putting my hand on my chest, and you might not be able to see that my other hand is on my belly. This is the Cancer-ruled part of the body. Cancer rules the stomach as well as the chest and the breast tissue and the liquid part, the fluid part of our lungs. And I'm holding this part of my body to help me get grounded as I'm talking to you on the other side of this digital communication. And I can feel that as I'm talking to you, you know, I want to make sense. I want what I'm saying to touch you in a way that is useful and beneficial for you. I can hear my own voice, and I can also hear all of my inner critique and analysis coming in. But my job right now is to stay in my body. And this might mean that I slow down, that I take some breaths, and that through my presence and awareness, and also through my touch, that I care for myself as I'm speaking. And this feels may be like the quintessence of the message right here. Cancer, when you are speaking, when you are sharing your own experience with others, please care for yourself exquisitely. It doesn't matter what kind of information you're sharing. You could be sharing logistics of your day-to-day and schedule. You could be sharing love and appreciation. You could be sharing something that feels like a conflict or a place of disagreement. But if you can love yourself, care for yourself, and stay with your heart in your center as you communicate to others, your transmission will be translated in ways that are more accessible and receivable in their bodies and in their body minds. I can feel that as I went through that process with you, my voice kind of dropped more into my chest. I got less in my head and more in my body. As I cared for myself, I also felt some sweetness coming in, especially when it comes to places of disagreement or friction or outright conflict. I know in my experience, it can be very easy to get into my head and to get pretty far away from what can feel like just simple care for my own being. It's easier for me to get trapped up in my ego and my sense of I-ness, especially in spaces of conflict. And I feel like a lot of you right now are really needing to speak to some issues that feel very real. And so I talked about the relationship between communication and values. Now, this could have to do with your personal values, what you think is right or wrong, what you think is important, what really resonates for you in your heart, that you want to be able to discuss and come to a place of agreement or mutual support with others. This could have to do with your sense of self-esteem, actually, and the way that you value yourself. As I was just talking about with self-touch and mindfulness, as you might be speaking, it feels like self-esteem and insecurity are issues that definitely want some attention from you right now. I think a lot of you are doing some really important healing and integration in these realms. And for probably all of us alive on Earth at this time, healing and integration when it comes to our self-esteem and our sense of connectiveness with the larger whole could be something that we practice every single day, and it won't ever be too much. There is so much need for healing and integration for all of us, and definitely in the spaces of our interconnections. And then there may actually be issues of resources, money, practicalities, and logistics that really need some tending to, especially when it comes to important relationships, which may have a lot to do with work-related themes or areas of life where you are trying to address what is much bigger than you as an individual. And so when it comes to this kind of need to speak to the logistics, to the strategy, to the larger arc of something, it can be really easy to leave the body and to go into the mind and what's conceptual. Depending on what you're talking about, these themes might also really engage your inner warrior, and there may be, ego stuff that comes up where you might feel a sense of forcefulness or assertion that may also sometimes come out in ways that others experience as oppressive or agitating, or something that they're going to have conflict with as well. And I'm not telling you to be avoidant of conflict, but I am trying to give you some tools to bring into these dynamics so that you can navigate conflicts with skill. Our conflicts are sites of a massive amount of potential healing, creativity, depth, and insight. It is in all of our best interests to learn to navigate conflict skillfully. And one of the ways that we can do that most practically is by caring for ourselves as we come into connection with others, and caring for ourselves as we put shape around our words and communications. This brings me into the realm of healing. And as I'm sure you can imagine, what I was just talking about and what I'm going to talk about next totally go together. So when it comes to healing, I want to invite you to tune in with the lunations over the course of Virgo season. As a Cancer, you are ruled by the moon. It's always in your best interest to tune in with the moon on any given day, feel into what it's up to and how it might affect your body-mind. The new and the full moon, we have relationships between the earth, the moon, and the sun that pull the waters on earth most profoundly. And our bodies, being 60 to 70% water, just like planet Earth, are also profoundly affected by the new and the full moon. We have a new moon in Virgo on September 2nd and a full moon in Virgo's opposite sign Pisces on September 17th. That full moon is also an eclipse, and the first of a set of eclipses. We'll get a second eclipse in early October, as well as the first eclipse in Virgo and Pisces season of a series of eclipses that we'll have continuing through early 2027. So the new moon on September 2nd is definitely an important one to tune in with. This is just a couple days before the planet Mars actually enters Cancer, and something to be aware of as Mars enters your sign. And this is a new moon that feels to me like it, again, is really bringing a lot of focus into your communications, into your perception, and into the ways that you work with information as it comes into your body. The feeling that I have, again, is that you really need to be caring for yourself exquisitely. I think a lot of you track a ton of information out there in the world, and particularly in the realms of your relationships. This new moon is asking for inner tending and curiosity and awareness of what your body does when you receive information. I really want to invite you to tune in with the fight, flight, freeze responses, or the ways that your nervous system might get activated into action or deep inaction in a kind of state of paralysis, or again, freeze, by information that's coming in. If you notice that you are feeling highly activated, again, self-touch can be so healing. And I want to invite you to explore the potential for touch, especially around your low belly. You're probably aware that your guts hold a lot of your intuition and your intelligence. There's a really important nerve that stems out of your brain that innervates or gives energy to all of your vital organs, and especially your organs of digestion and assimilation. And so when activation happens, and this is true for both the fight, flight, and freeze responses, our inner bodies tend to tense up, and we internalize that activation in our organs. So a really simple practice that you might employ as you investigate how your body responds to information is holding your hands over your belly and bringing your mind into your belly and just noticing what it feels like in there. If you notice that you can't feel anything, that your breath cannot reach your belly, that you feel really tight or tense or have other sensations of discomfort like nausea or something like that, it might be helpful for you to lie down for a couple of minutes and with your hands still on your belly, imagine and feel your body connecting to earth through gravity. There's a really simple somatic practice that you may have come across called yielding, where we tune in with the earth as a great source of support, where we feel that our bodies are totally held by earth in life and in death, where we extend our trust all the way down into the earth and kind of let go of all of the franticness of our individual lives and our efforts and our actions and all of our ideas and our thoughts. And just remember that we are one with and part of planet Earth. And that when we really tune into this great presence that we are part of, there is so much support that is available. When it comes to the full moon on September 17th, and as I mentioned, this series of eclipses that will extend through early 2027, there's a feeling here that it is time for you to really cultivate and form some of your own philosophies and believe in the ways that you have access to insight and wisdom. This is a period of time that is inviting you to rise to the occasion. And I'm not sure what the occasion is in your particular life, but I think that a lot of you are feeling some kind of capacity that you have for leadership in some way. Now, leadership can look a lot of different ways. If you're a parent, you're a leader. If you're older than somebody, you might be a leader. Certainly, if you hold positions of power, you are potentially in positions of leadership. And regardless of what positions you might hold, all of us are always in the position to really embody our deepest dignity and act as leaders in the world. And it feels to me right now, Cancer, that there is a true essence and spirit of leadership that is asking for you to pay attention and believe it in yourself, own it, and start to really operate with it in a more conscious way. This is going to require you to not be nitpicky and critical, particularly in ways that might have you enacting forms of leadership that I'm going to say resonate with punishment, enacting forms of leadership that might resonate in ways that give the message of insecurity or not enoughness. It feels like this is a time for you to really embody some of the biggest gifts of Cancer, which have to do with inclusion and, I'm going to say, skillful parenting. Cancer is a zodiac sign that is often associated with maternal energy, and I don't mean that in a gendered way. I mean the capacity that any of us have to nurture and care for what needs nurturing and care. That's all of us. That's the earth. Our relationships, certainly the youngest, the smallest, and most fragile and delicate beings and systems that are here. But nurturing and care doesn't mean lack of boundaries. It doesn't mean infinite and endless acceptance of, whatever is happening. Nurturing and care sometimes also really means insight, feedback, a clear no, limitations, and healthy boundaries. And I feel like a lot of you naturally, and also over the course of the last many years, have really been coming into and cultivating your skills for this kind of leadership. And so we benefit from it with you when you apply that kind of care towards yourself. And so what I want to encourage you to tune in with is when you're being a bully to yourself, first and foremost. So if you find yourself speaking down to yourself, if you find yourself, boosting the pay of the cop that's in your head, right? Instead of punishing yourself less, you are doubling down on, you should have been like this, or you should have been like that, or since you weren't like this, then this horrible thing is going to happen, or something like that. We all have capacities to be terrible to ourselves. And I'm going to say that probably most people are worse to themselves than they are to others. And even people who are acting out in extreme violence to others are probably deeply suffering from the amount of violence that's happening for them internally. So it is so important right now that in the ways that you are in leadership or possibility modeling how we could be in the world, that you are really embodying and integrating emotional intelligence and maturity with yourself, caring for yourself, and then also extending that out into the world. And this means taking the time, again, to feel into how does information rest in your body. If you notice that your nervous system, your body are activated in ways that have you responding quickly or brashly? Or have you kind of hiding yourself or being avoidant or going away or defending yourself in some kind of way? You might want to take some time to really tune in, to ask your bodily intelligence, your gut mind, and your energetic body for their perspectives on what is happening. Our brains are going to tell us all kinds of stories, but our bodies and our energetic intelligences often have a different kind of clarity that is really important to tap into. Over the course of these next 2.5 years or so, Cancer, a lot of you are going to be invited into new possibilities for leadership. And a lot of you are feeling some sense of like a horizon opening up in front of you and a feeling of maybe particular chapters closing as new chapters open up, and you're feeling like you want to explore something new and different in your life. And I feel that these qualities of emotional maturity, cultivating your wise, healthy inner parent, and really working to nourish and nurture and care for what is fragile and young and delicate in yourself, in your relationships, and in the world will really serve and support you in these aims. All right, finally, we are going to look at a sense of greater purpose or service in the world. I'm asking you throughout this reading to drop into your belly and to tune into your body mind. And I think you can probably already guess and already imagine how being embodied, working with your bodily intelligence, and embodying practices of care could be in service to the larger whole. And when it comes to a sense of purpose, currently and into the foreseeable future, I feel that a lot of you are kind of operating in ways that even if you're highly visible in your role or your embodiment, I feel like a lot of you are operating in ways where you're attending to what is invisible. And we live in a world that habitually discounts the invisible. If you can't see it, it doesn't exist, is what a lot of people think. But the truth is that the majority of what exists, we can't see. Even those of us with perfect vision can only see a tiny, tiny spectrum of available light. There's so much that is microscopic and on the molecular or atomic level, totally important when it comes to physical existence that we cannot see with our eyes. And beyond that, there are things like emotions and energetic frequencies that are not visible a lot of the time, but are very palpable when we're tuned in with a felt sense. That's our intuition, and that's our corporeal or bodily intelligence. Cancer, I feel that in order for you to be of greatest service at this time and in the ways that you are here to fulfill your unique purpose and give your unique gifts, you need to be attending to what is invisible. A lot of you were born into this world as psychologists and therapists. Again, Cancer as a zodiacal archetype and energy is very sensitive to the whole. And I think many of you naturally embody these capacities and skills. Over the next couple of decades, your life is asking you to believe in your capacities to work with and attend the invisible. I feel that many of you have an innate sense of the ways that the invisible realms are the connecting realms. Air is something that we all need and we all share. Psychology is something that is inherited and transmitted through lineages, legacies, and in the collective. There are ways that you want to affect something very powerfully, I feel. And the ways that you are going to be most effective have to do with your capacity to notice and palpate and move with and move the invisible realms. So how do you do that? First and foremost, tuning in with your emotional and energetic bodies, starting to or continuing to cultivate the intelligence that you have in your inner experience of what is invisible and yet so strong. Extending that out into the relational realms for sure. And then any concentration or study that helps you work skillfully with the ways that invisible energy travels through our collectives. So that could be a study of quantum physics and mechanics. It could be a study of the particulate matter in air. It could be a study of consciousness. It could be a study of psychology. There are lots of ways that you might conceive of these invisible realms. But when you're working with them, Cancer, you are really giving a lot to the collective in the ways that we need. And I think that you are fortifying and coalescing around your personal power. I'm going to leave it there, Cancer. I hope that any or all of this feels helpful for you in Virgo season. I'm wishing you all the best. Bye for now.